First of all, please forgive me for the mess that is my desk. Secondly, I went to Goodwill today because I wanted to find a different lampshade for this. Because the thing I don't like about this lampshade is I've got to like wiggle my hand up in here to turn the lamp, and it's just meh, pain in the butt. Don't want it. So I found a different shade, and I just took the thing that sits there. And thing is, this used to be like this used to hold a glass, and then there was like fire in here because this was an oil brass lamp. And I acquired it already converted into lamp. I saved it from the dumpster, and it had this was like way down in here, and there's a hole on the side here where somebody like drilled for this to sit, and I didn't like that either because this twisty bit isn't long enough to get all the way out this hole. So you still could like I had to poorly tie things together to make the in-out bit work to turn the lamp on before. So I ended up getting a kit and rewiring it. But I want a different lampshade. And the lampshade I want one that kind of looks like a vase. So this pit is probably going to get cut off because this is the base. And then I just want like a little roundy end. But this one came with this on it, which, nope, in the trash. But I'm going to peel this paper off because this one's just cute. It's nice little dark wood. And it was by the lamps when I was thrifting. This lampshade. I have this yarn, not that you can see the inside, but it's ragged on the inside. Yeah. So I'm going to peel the paper off of this, and starting at the top with this red, just going to recreate this lampshade essentially. Because this is just, this is fabric, because I was hot glued on, I kind of, oopsie, my bad. And then there's the seam on the, like, exact opposite side. Like, why would you not tape the over that's in the... I'm working with what I have. That's what we're doing. But, so I'm going to try and crochet these both. Have I ever crocheted a lampshade before? No. But I have the audacity. I have the self-belief that my uh, that 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 I can do it, that I can figure it out, that I can make something. And if I make something and it looks like shit, well, you know what? We can deal with that too. Also, I'm watching Jacksepticeye play Dark Souls or Elden Ring. Dark Souls is next. But yeah, those are my projects. This poor lamp has been through the ringer, but I get this light bulb in here, plug it in. Like, it's a real nice bright lamp. It usually sits over in my little crochet area. It sits back there on that table so that I can see things. I have 3 lamps back there, all of which are nice soft yellow light lamps. Come on. You're gonna make me use 2 hands for this? Ugh. That moment. Creepy. When your Velcro is so, like, that guy's bright. And if I can't wiggle that off. Where'd the other one go? Does this one fit over? It doesn't. But, like, he's bright. It's very bright. It's a nice lamp. It's just, I want this to sit here, and it sits, like, here. And then I can't get my hand in there to turn it on and off. Whereas, if it's sitting there, I can just, wow, look, that was hard. Wow, look, that was hard. Hey, and it's off again. So, that's the plan. You may never see this video. No one knows, not even me. Future is unpredictable. But yeah. All right, so I have this all time-lapsed out as I work on it. I will have typed down in the description the instructions of what I did, but I'm also just going to say them here as you watch me work. I did measure like the paper shade, and it was 5 inches from the, top ring to the bottom ring. So that's what I aimed for here as I was working. I used a 3.5 millimeter hook, and this is the red and black scarfie yarn. I made a cardigan with this a while ago, and this was just a scrap piece that I had left over from doing that, and it was the exact amount of yarn I needed to make this lampshade. I am cleaning off the glue from where the paper shade was glued on. That's what that orange bottle is. It's Goo Gone. Um, but so for row 1, around the ring itself, I crocheted 48 single crochets. Rows 2 through 5 is the same 48 around. It's just all double crochets. Row 6, I double crocheted, increasing into every 12th stitch, which brought me up to 52 stitches. Rows 7 through 10 are just 52 rounds, or 52 stitches of double crochet in each round. Row 11, I increased in every 13th stitch, which brought me up to 56 total stitches. And then rows 12 and 13 were 56 double crochets around. Row 14 is where I attached the bottom ring of the lampshade, and I single crocheted 2 single crochets into every double crochet, leaving me with 112 stitches. And then to add the little shells on the bottom, it's skip 3 stitches, 7 double crochets into the stitch, slip stitch into the 3rd stitch from this center stitch, repeat around. And I did this to accommodate for the, to make sure that it was an even number of scallops around and I didn't end on like a half scallop. This is how the math worked out to make those. I whipped out this lampshade in a day. It was a 1-day project. And it wasn't difficult. I mostly just went on vibes. Like, I was just kind of looked up a couple things of like other people's patterns for making lampshades. I was kind of like, okay. And I have vague notions of like how shaping works when doing like amigurumi just from watching Complicated Knots' work. Because you watch enough of it and you're gonna absorb the information. That's just how it is, right? So, yeah, I just between the other patterns and kind of my own vague knowledge of how to make shapes with yarn, uh, that's the pattern I came up with, and I think it looks great. If I were to do it again, I would single crochet it. I used double crochets because I am not a patient individual. It's not one of my strong suits. I try my damnedest. Um, but it's just not one of my strong suits, being patient. So I used double crochets, which is probably why I was able to get it done in a day. And since I have like the paper just stuffed up underneath the yarn, it works out. It's fine. But if I wanted it without the paper underneath, I would definitely have to do single crochets. That being said, I have the paper in there. The double crochets look great. And I used the entire scrap I had of yarn. Like, you'll see at the end of this clip here that I end up with bringing out another ball scrap of this yarn. And I don't need it. I end up completely not needing it. So, that was another nice thing about this project, is it was just perfectly used up one yarn scrap. Like, I won yarn chicken in the way we all wish to win yarn chicken, where you have like exactly 2 inches left at the end to use to weave in, and you had the exact amount of yarn you needed for a project. It doesn't happen often, but we all love it when it does. Um, and yeah, no, I could not be happier with how this one turned out. It was just, I saw the lamp, I thought it was a really cute lamp. The lampshade was hideous because, like, the shape of the base, I have it in my notes saved as dark academia lamp because that's what it is to me. Like, it looks like it belongs on a bookshelf in, like, an old school professor's study, you know? So, um, I just wanted it to have a less ridiculous lampshade, and I think this little, with the little scallops on the bottom, it just suits it so perfectly. Um, and yeah, I just, when you see me typing, pausing to type, I'm just writing down what I've done for every row as I go. Um, so that is what I'm doing there. Alright, so this is the next day, and I am working on the lampshade for the brass lamp. I'll explain this a little bit later in the video, but I was really going for like the shape of what an actual glass shade would look like on an oil and like fire brass lamp. So I will link below. I kind of followed a free pattern for a vase that I found and just kind of adjusted it to be the correct size for what I was trying to do. I do not know what this cream yarn is. I found it in my mother's scrap yarn. It's a 4-weight acrylic yarn, and it's cream. That's all the information I have for you. The blue yarn I will be using eventually is the Red Heart Super Saver. I want to say the color is royal blue, but I will check that and then addendum. I used a 4mm. Row 1, I double crocheted onto the ring. I ended up with a total of 48 stitches in the round, and the ring has bars separating it into a couple sections, so I ended up with 16 in each section. For row 2, I double crocheted around, total of 48 stitches. For row 3, I double crocheted around, increasing into the 8th stitch. So double crochet 7, and then in stitch 8, you double crochet 2 into that stitch, and just repeat that all the way around to bring the total up to 54 stitches in the round. For row 4, just a normal double crochet into every stitch for a 54 around. Row 5, we're going to increase into every 6th stitch, bringing the total up to 63. Just assume everything is in double crochet unless I say otherwise. For row 6, we just go into every stitch for 63 stitches around. Row 7, we increase into every 7th stitch to bring the total up to 72 stitches in the round. And row 8, we just double crochet into every stitch. Row 9, we do invisible decreases into every 7th stitch, bringing our total back down to 63. Row 10, we do invisible decreases into every 6th stitch, bringing us to 54. And row 11, invisible decreases into every 8th stitch, bringing us to 48. If you don't know how to do invisible decreases, I will link a video that's going to explain it way better than I ever can, okay? Especially because I'm just doing the voiceover and I can't in voiceover explain it. Row 12 is also going to have invisible decreases into every 6th stitch, bringing us down to 40. And then row 13 will have invisible decreases into every 5th stitch, bringing us to 32. Rows 14 and 15, you're going to double crochet into every stitch down to 32. And then row 16 is a double crochet increase into every other stitch, bringing us back up to 48. Row 17 is single crochets now, increasing into every other stitch, bringing it back up to 72. And that's going to be the blue part on the top that you'll see later here, that like flares out and makes like the vase opening. Then at the end, I went back to the bottom and I took my blue thread and I stitched around the base, and I had already glued it so it was nice and stiff. So I just stitched in between every double crochet to kind of make a loop of yarn. And then I single crocheted through each of those stitches to give me a base ring of 48 single crochets. I then did a round of half double crochets with a decrease in every 3 stitches to tighten it into 32 stitches. Then I double crocheted around for a row, skipping 3 and chaining 3 to make the initial hole I made for the knob to turn the light on and off. But I ended up just cutting that. So what I would do to do it again is starting on this row, like when you get to the last 3 stitches, I would just chain down and turn my work and go back to intentionally leave a gap there. So for rows 5 and 6, I just half double crocheted all the way around. Row 7 was a single crochet. I tied off, I weaved in, and then I glued it. And yeah, that was the process for that. This is one, and I talk about it later in the video, where when I finished it, I wasn't thrilled. It has grown on me quite a bit. If I were to make it again, this one I do not have like anything underneath the yarn to like diffuse the light or anything. But it doesn't bother me the same way it does with the little red one. And I actually, like, I would keep that. That would be a feature again, to have like double crochets and the gappiness and the being able to see the light through the holes. Otherwise, I don't know what I would do different to make it something I would like more. It could just, I kind of talked about it with my mom after I finished this. It's just short of finding a glass lampshade that fits exactly onto this brass piece that I already have. I don't think there's anything I can make that's going to achieve that effect for me. As far as things I am able to make, I think this is probably going to be up there as far as good as I can do, like, as enjoyable as I can make it. Like, it's, I'm like struggling to explain it, because I think I did a good job. I tried to make essentially a vase as a lampshade, and I did that. I think I did that quite successfully. And I think it looks good on my lamp, and it has grown on me. I do like it now. It might not be like my favorite thing I've ever made, but it serves the purpose I made it for. I like the way it looks. I cannot come up with a way right here, right now, in which I could improve it or make it into something better than what I made. It's just that I want it to have the glass lampshade, and I can't replicate that with yarn, I guess, is the ultimate end-all be-all of that. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little different than how I normally go about these, but it was just a different kind of project. So, I also hope the sound is much better on this video. I do apologize for the last video. I did as much as I could on the back end, but there was not much to be done to save it. Hi everyone. I went thrifting and I found yarn. So I'm going to show you everything I found. And I'm going to show you the yarn. And then I'm going to make something with the yarn. But before we get to the yarn, because it was at the last place I went, where I live and where I go to the dentist are on opposite sides of town. So as long as I'm on the opposite side of town, I'm going to hit every thrift store I can on my way back home. That is my reward for being an adult and going to a place I hate for my own health. So, first stop is Goodwill. And I have there's like, when I moved here, there were 2 Goodwills. Now there's like 6, and I still only go to the same 2. But so there's one really close to my house, and there's one really close to my dentist. So I went to the one close to my dentist because I don't normally go to that one. And I got a few things there. I got these, which have like stuff on the back, so it doesn't like scratch the tables. But I think I'm gonna paint stuff on them and then hang them on the wall. But these were 99 cents each, and I got 3 of them. There were 3 of them. I got 2 other things at Goodwill. It's just one of them's big and on the bottom of my pile of things. I got this because I love this style of mirror, but I always see these, and like this part is cheap plastic, and this is just chalk paint. Or if it's not, but I can tell it is because I can see and feel the texture of it. So this is just chalk paint. So this will clean right off. It's gonna go on my wall. That's all that is. And it's like, a lot of times the ones I see, like the whole piece is the size of the mirror on this one. So I got this one. And then this, Gail and Sherman, congratulations on your 25 years of marriage. I'm gonna rip this out of here because I want the circle frame. I apologize. I'm sure whoever worked on this put in a lot of time and effort, and I can tell because these stitches are so nice. Like, these X's are so nice and clean. Like, whoever did this, they've been cross-stitching a while. They put a lot of effort into this. And hopefully this was for 25 years together and not like you got married in the last 3 months and then this was at the thrift store for $4. Because if that's the case, shame. Judgment and shame. But the circle frame is so nice. So I got this for the frame. Then I went to the second store where I found this. And I absolutely love this thing. You can see it here. It has this shelf on it. The shelf's just screwed on the back. I think I'm going to take the shelf off. I might stain it. And then it's just going to go on the wall. Because it's a little gothic window. And that's all my style. So it's going on the wall. And then I got this, which is a Ziploc bag full of like wooden toy shapes. And it had some stars in it, which is why I wanted it. But because I have this gallery wall outside my room, which I will try and take a video of. It's really hard because the hallway's really narrow. But I have like a whole drawer of just wood pieces. This is a pencil. A pencil. Or just a piece of wood to look like a pencil. Interesting. All sorts of interesting little pieces in here, but there was definitely stars. I have a little shelf out there, and it holds the battery packs for 2 of these neon lights I have. Just thinking I might use these to kind of disguise those a little bit, maybe. But we shall see. But this whole bag was $1.50, so worth it. And then the last thing I got at this thrift store, because you have to spend $5 in order to use your debit card, which is fine. I don't carry cash. So I just got a shadow box. This was $4, and I will do something with this eventually, but until then, I just have it. And then the last place I went wasn't technically a thrift store, it's an antique mall. I love this place, mostly because right in the middle of it, like there's this big long section, and it's just crystals and rocks and fossils. And I got these, which are a bookend. And I have some books. I have a book for each of the 8 like major pagan holidays. That's what those are for. And then I got this big brass thing, which is it's this brass perfume tray frame. So, but it's got screws on the back. Where did that go? Oh God, I don't know. I got it. We're good. I don't know if that was to screw on the actual frame itself, like the missing, the obviously missing piece that goes in there. And then there's also like this ring that I think actually is supposed to sit like this. Pressure. But the reason I got this, other than the fact it's freaking beautiful, is I have this. Oof, just smashed myself in the face. Embroidery hoop, and I have a project that goes in this embroidery hoop. Oh no! I thought it was going to be big enough. It is too small. That's okay. I think this embroidery hoop is bigger than the actual project is anyway. And you know what? We can find that out. Project's over here. Whee! Woohoo! So we started working on this, and then I got super into crochet. So it's all the Sailor Scouts. Um, I did the outline on everybody. I filled in Venus, and I started Mars, and that's as far as I've gotten. But let me pop this little working hook off. Whoop. There. Just want to see. Yeah. Oh. Everybody ready to move? I apologize if the mic makes noise. So, that's what I'm thinking for that. That did not help. Alright. And I'm gonna polish this up and such. But, oh, that's gonna look so good. That is going to look so good. Alright. That was a good $8, me. Alright. Say hi to Gedge. Say hi to Gedge. He's like, why were you gone all morning? You smell like places and things. You have any commentary to add, ma'am? I did the whole video and I got distracted by the cat, and I forgot the whole reason I started this was to show you yarn. I got yarn. I found these at the thrift store in the Kiwanis section. Not the thrift store, the antique mall. They had a whole Kiwanis discount area. And these were $2 each. They are 100% Egyptian cotton. They're 3.5 ounces or 100 grams each. I think I'm going to double strand them and then turn it into a bag, is the plan. I can peel the sticker back. It's Radiant Cotton. Brand is Fibra Natura. So Fibra, new word, Natura. Natural fine hand knitting yarns. I don't know if they're still in business or not, but it says made in Turkey. This one's fuchsia. This one's bluest, which answers my question on if it was blue or purple. I thought it was blue. It is blue. Yay me. But yeah, I think I'll just double strand these, and I just want to make like a little soap bag or whatever with those. But yeah. All right. So last night I got out my yarn swift. I put the hanks of yarn that I thrifted onto the yarn swift. I balled them up, and then I wound them together into a cake. And now that cake is a ball. Because I got about halfway through this bag, and I will link the pattern below. It is the Sakura Market Bag by Kame Crochet. But this is row 16. Halfway would be row 19. I don't have enough yarn. And that's my fault because I didn't fucking read. And this pattern, she did it in a size 4, with a size 4 hook. And I just picked up my hook and went, and my hook had a 5 in it. And I was like, all right. So I guess that's what we doing. But no, because it's not the right size. And as you can see in the middle here, it's just pink. It's not the mixed pink and blue because the pink was slightly longer. So I just went with it, and it's like it's going to be the bottom of the bag. Who fucking cares? Not me. But so now I have to start frogging this. It's all freaking chains. It's coming out nice and easy. I've never crocheted with cotton yarn before, and I don't know. I'm based on what I've heard some other people say. Um, I'm inclined to believe that this is just decent cotton yarn. Um, like I can't touch the sugar and cream stuff. Like I see it, they have it at Walmart and whatever. Like that's probably the cotton yarn I've been the most exposed to, and that shit's nasty. Like I do not like the way it feels. So like this stuff is nice, and I thought about Google like looking to see if the maker of this yarn still makes yarn. But then I decided that no, I'm just gonna rip it out. I'm gonna do it in a smaller hook. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I so far I really like this pattern. It's pretty easy to follow. She's got all the formats. I should not assume this was written by a she. The author of the pattern has all the formats. There's a chart, there's written instructions, and then they link as well to um, uh, videos that were not made by them but were made by a friend of theirs, that go through the entire pattern of the bag. So all your options are there. And I found this pattern on Ravelry, and I like downloaded the pattern that was on Ravelry, and it's just the chart, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. But they had a link to their blog, and in the blog they have it written out, like the words ones. And I could learn to read charts. I should learn to read charts. One day I might learn to read charts. But at the moment, I cannot read charts, and I'm not feeling motivated enough to try. So yeah, I'm gonna rip all this out, start over. I tried to do it so that I think I have the first 3 rows are in solid pink, but I'm gonna drop down a size. I might be able to get the whole Sakura itself in pink, or most of it. Cool. Um, 'Cause yeah, I'm all about not wasting yarn. There was a decent amount of pink yarn that I could pulled back on itself. Completely lost this bag. But this yarn, like, I'm used to working with acrylic yarn. I've done some blends and I've used polyester yarn, but I've never used 100% cotton yarn. And this stuff, like, really soft. It's really smooth. It doesn't stretch, which I knew it wouldn't because it's cotton. But I don't know, I have thoroughly enjoyed crocheting with this yarn. Um, which the other reason I don't want to look up and see if they still make this yarn is because I it, it I spent $2 for each hank of this yarn, like, and I know for a fact that it doesn't cost $2 new. I really like it, so I'm just in the, like, I don't need reasons to convince myself to spend money on yarn. I'm good at that without help. So I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna look it up. Because if we look it up, then we know. If we don't know, then we can just tell ourselves they went out of business years ago and they don't make the yarn anymore. And it won't be a problem. Because you can't I'm using the Schrodinger's problem to my advantage. You can't prove they're still in business. You can't prove they're not still in business. But you can't prove they're still in business until you look. As long as you don't look, they could have gone out of business years ago. And you'll never know. And you can buy their yarn because they could have gone out of business. But yeah, so that's I was hoping that, like, I could just sit down one day, bang this out. It's kind of how it worked out with the first crochet lampshade. The second one took a couple days. I do have it set up over there in the corner, and it's growing on me. When I initially finished it, I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, it's not super what I wanted, and it's still not super what I wanted, but it is serving its purpose. And this has been on for hours. Woo! Come back here. Nope. Um, it's probably been on since 9 a.m. It's 3:37, as you can see. This isn't hot to the touch at all. Like, if I stick my hand over this, I can feel the heat coming up from the light bulb. But, like, even if I stick my finger in here, like, this yarn is not warm in any way, shape, or form. Would you stop sinking, damn it? Stand is just like, listen, I can do so many things, but staying upright right now is not one of them. Are you good? I did have to, I don't know if it's visible. Probably not, because this is in the way. I did end up just completely cutting this. I had crocheted in a hole, and I ended up cutting it out so I could actually get my fingers in here to be able to turn it off. But yeah, that's how that turned out. Ta-da. Um, but um, that one took like 3 or 4 days total, I want to say. Just from the glue and having have time to let the glue dry. And, like, my original vision for that was all cream yarn, and I didn't have enough cream yarn because I just my mom knits and crochets too, so I found a cream ball of yarn in her scrap pile. And I was like, this should be plenty. Sure. But yeah, like the vase shape, like I really wanted it to look like what a. All right, hi guys. So this is what I have left of my cotton yarn, and this is the final bag. So I ended up going with just one color at a time. I didn't double the yarn up or anything. Um, it turned out so cute. Come on. I think I'll probably use it just to keep whatever project I'm currently working on in, and then obviously I have to figure out something to do with these. But I will put the pattern in the description. Words are hard sometimes. I will put the pattern in the description. There's like, you do all the instructions for the cherry blossom, and then this part out, and then like this first row here is like row 13 of the mesh. So there's like 3 rows of like kind of widening it out a little bit, and then there's like most of the body, and then there's a little going in, and then there's like the last chunk that goes in. So for the main section, I want to say I added like 8 rows total. So I think I added 5 in that main section, and then like you go from each of these being a chain 5 to a chain 4, I believe. No, 6 to 5. So in that section, I added 2 rows, or you alternate. Yeah, that's it. So you alternate like chain 5, chain 6, chain 5, chain 6. For 2 rows, but I did 3, and then the like last row is supposed to be chain 4s, chain 3s, whatever. I added extra rows, like the last instruction before you get to the like handle and band. You're supposed to do one of those. I did 2, and then the instruction prior to that, I added 2 rows, and then the instruction prior to that, I added 5 rows. It ended so that when I started this blue part, this last row of pink, I think, was my row 40. But it's a super cute bag. I'm super happy with the result. And for $4 in yarn, I mean, there's no complaints to be had on the matter. The handles are a little wibbly, and I think that's because I did the handle is a chain 80, and instead of working into the chain, I just worked around the chain because I don't have this. But yeah, so that's that. And like I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these yet because it's like not enough to do anything with. Like the only other thing I could think to do would be to essentially make this bottom part again and just keep it as like a doily or like a trivet, but I wouldn't use it. So why? I don't know. I'll see. I'll hold on to it and I'll find something that I want to make in cotton yarn and I'll be like, I have cotton yarn. Ooh. But yeah, that's that. So those are my 3 like thrifty projects. I did redo my little table back here, so there's that back in the corner. It looks really good in this light. Because I got this acrylic thing, and I have ADHD, so this thing is great because I can see all of my stuff. Like before, I had that kind of stacked thing, which worked, but this works better. And it cleared out like half of my desk too, so that's a win. And yeah, so that's been back there. That's been doing great. Like I said, that one for me went from a like I don't really like it to I'm mostly ambivalent about it. And then I can show you. Come with me. We shall exit. And then this is like behind this is the TV that I was just sitting in front of. And here's this little guy. And he just sits here. He's just super cute. He doesn't put off like a lot of light. You can see there's light coming out of him. This 10 out of 10. I love how this turned out. So cute. So, yeah, that is all I have for these 3 very random thrifty crochet projects. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.